Hello! Welcome back to my weekly progress log. Apologies if I sound a little bit rough, I have got a bit of a cold, so you'll have to bear with me with this one. We are now on week 3 of learning Unity 3D, and after playing with some models last time, I decided to try and add a character model to my character controller, with the goal of being able to toggle between first and third person. I really like the idea of having a character model, as being able to see the shadow and parts of the character gives it a little bit more depth. It'll also be ideal if I want to implement reflections later on down the line. To get started, I found this handsome chap on CG Trader. Just like the female model, this came fully rigged as a Unity package with textures included. I then found a bunch of basic movement animations on Mixamo and followed a basic third-person character controller tutorial to set up my animator. The one that I watched in particular was by a guy called Omegonix. He has a bunch of really useful Unity tutorials as well and some pretty interesting projects he's working on, so I highly recommend you check him out. Once that was done, I added some animation triggers to my character controller script and we were up and running. I did run into some issues, however. When I initially added the model, the root bone, which is at the base, would automatically anchor to the centre of its parent. I found that applying root motion fixed this issue, not actually knowing what root motion was, and then realised that it would rotate uncontrollably once I started moving. I did eventually find a solution though by turning off root motion and putting my model into a container game object, enabling me to move that into the correct position. Once the character was finally behaving the way I wanted, I started working on a toggle function to switch between first and third person. In the excitement of finally making some progress, I stupidly added a toggle button, only to realise that I don't actually have a cursor in my game. That's probably because I was making mobile games for so long. So I scrapped that and coded it to work with a key press instead by changing the camera position and orientation when you press the T key. So I ended up spending the majority of my week trying to rectify the issues I had at the beginning. So that's all I do have for this episode. I don't actually spend a solid week working on Unity. I usually aim for an hour or so a night if I can, depending on my work schedule. So while there are a lot of refinements that need to be made, I'm going to make do with what I've got for now. But I will be definitely looking into this with a bit more depth at a later point and fixing the issues that I have, such as going into buildings, and I don't have an animation for the crouch yet as well. So I will be fine-tuning that at a later date. So that's everything. As always, any tutorials that I followed and free assets that I've used will be linked in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.